Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. So guys, it looks like it's official. Devin Haney and George Kambosos are going to be fighting. Good fight. I like the fight. I think it's a great fight. It's been announced with all the back and forth. Eddie Hearn loses leverage. You know, Eddie Hearn, it's funny with Eddie Hearn because it looks like Eddie Hearn's lost another fighter in America. He seems like he's lost Devin Haney. Devin Haney is now signed with Top Rank. We know that Devin Haney was a free agent. Devin Haney's doing a great thing because Devin Haney's not signed with anyone. But I don't know. I heard it's a multi-fight deal. If that's the case, then Eddie Hearn will be very gutted and disappointed. And yeah, he does promote Canelo Alvarez, but Canelo Alvarez does his own thing. He hasn't really... It's not like Canelo Alvarez is loyal to Eddie Hearn like Joshua is. Canelo Alvarez could leave at any time depending on, you know, whether it makes sense for him. So Eddie Hearn's in a bit of a tough spot in America because Devin Haney was quite a big, starting to develop into a big name, and now he's going and joined Top Rank, one of his competitors. So that's not a good look for Eddie Hearn. It's not a good look in terms of the zone, because when you look at what Eddie Hearn's done, yeah, he's got Canelo Alvarez on the platform, and he's obviously cushy and good friends with Canelo Alvarez. If Alvarez goes somewhere else, the zone are looking quite thin in terms of who they've actually got. Like, when you think about it, you know, Canelo Alvarez is a Mexican, but who else have they got as American now? Demetrius Andrade is leaving, Devin Haney's left. You know, you think of it, you look at it and you think Eddie's not really managed to attract a lot of guys that are constantly on the platform. Yeah, Canelo's, like I said, he's a floating guy. He's a guy that comes here, a couple of fights and goes elsewhere. But Eddie Hearn's not been able to nail down anyone substantial that's going to stay for long term. Now, that's the thing with these guys that have, you know, they're free agents like Devin Haney. Hearn probably didn't want him to be a free agent, and Hearn wanted to be involved in this undisputed fight. They were saying, we're trying to fix this and do this. Hearn must be gutted. I know, like, Hearn's the type of guy is that he can shrug off his losses easily, and he makes it out like, yeah, it doesn't matter anyway, you know, it's boxing. But deep down, he knows that in America, apart from getting Canelo on the platform, it's starting to look thin for him. You know, it is starting to look thin for him, and I don't know if he's doing that great a job. If you think about it, he's not doing that great a job. Apart from Canelo, he's managed to get on the platform. Yeah, Golovkin, but I just feel like they only fight once or twice a year. What about the other content? Who has he really got apart from Canelo? Who else has he really got? But that's one guy fighting probably twice, 3 times. Okay. What are the big fights? Yeah, Golovkin, but apart from that, it's very thin. They're very thin on the ground. You know, so Eddie Hearn's got some thinking to do in terms of what he's doing in America. In terms of the fight, I think Haney-Kambosos is a good fight. I think it's a good fight. You know, it was always going to happen in Australia. Kambosos probably did everything in his favor to get every advantage he could. He's got every advantage he can get, and he deserved it. You know, he's the champion. He's the guy that with the 3 belts. Haney's a guy that, you know, really, although he's a good fighter, he's a guy that's really got an email belt, you know, and a belt which a lot of people don't even view him as champion. So this is an opportunity for him to really cement himself and cement his legacy and as an undisputed champion. It's a good fight. I do think I favor Kambosos because I actually think people overrate Haney as this really great fighter, and they hype him up as he's some kind of monster. They're hyping him up as the next Floyd. I'm not been that convinced so far, and Kambosos is probably better than what people give him credit for. So I think this is a very competitive and very dangerous fight for Haney, and the fact that it's happening in Australia, if this fight is close, I can see Kambosos probably getting the decision. So I'm very interested in this, because I actually think this is going to be no cakewalk for Devin Haney. I think this is going to be a very, very tough fight. I do. I think it's going to be a very, very tough fight. And I'm looking forward to seeing how Haney deals with someone like George Kambosos. Kambosos is a very good fighter. He's very fast. He's got very fast hands, and Haney's not a very big, powerful puncher, so I don't really see him hurting Kambosos. I think Kambosos showed he's got a tough chin, and Kambosos throws a lot of punches. Haney isn't what people make him out to be. He's a good fighter, but I don't think he's as good as what people make him out to be. For me, I'm picking George Kambosos to win this fight. You know, it may be wrong. I might be wrong, but I'm picking George Kambosos to pull this one off. That's my prediction. I just feel like Devin Haney won't stop him. And I don't think Devin Haney is going to be able to separate himself from someone like George Kambosos, who's a very fast fighter. And I think Kambosos will put a lot of pressure on Haney and maybe outwork him in certain rounds. And Haney doesn't really throw a lot of punches. He's not a guy that, you know, for me, is a very throws a lot of punches. He's not going to outwork Kambosos. Kambosos is faster, in my opinion. Haney's fast, but I think Kambosos throws a lot more punches. And I don't think Haney's as slick as what he is slick. He's not that easy to hit, but I do think Kambosos will land. I think Kambosos throws a lot of punches. He's fast himself. And I think he's a better boxer than given credit for. So I actually think that Kambosos will edge this. And remember, the fact if it's close, Kambosos has a very good chance. Haney might have to stop him. With Haney's style, he might have to stop him. But like I said, I don't know whether Haney's a big enough puncher to stop him. So Devin Haney may have to knock out George Kambosos to win this fight. Because I think stylistically, I think Kambosos may have his number. That's just, like, I might be wrong. Listen, I've been wrong before. I just think stylistically, I favor Kambosos to pull this one off. I think some of you guys are hyping Haney because of what, you know, the fact that he's an American, and also the fact that, you know, he's been hyped up a lot. Like, I remember Mayweather talking about him, saying this guy's special. You know, I remember, you know, Roy Jones talking about, and all these guys, because he's been hyped up so much from a young age, a lot of these guys thought he was going to be something special. I personally think that that's what a lot of people are looking into. But really, if you look at it in terms of credibility, George Kambosos has a better win at a much higher level, irrespective of whether Tio was at his best or not. I just think that Kambosos has a better win. And I even think Kambosos' win over Lee Selby gets slept on. You could argue Linares was a good win, but Linares was at the end of his career. Selby wasn't in his prime, so to speak. But for some reason, I fancy George to pull this one off. I like something stylistically. I might be wrong. If I am wrong, I'll put my hand up and say I'm wrong. But that's just my opinion on this fight. I think Devin Haney may struggle in this one. I do. I think Kambosos is a very good fighter. I think he's underrated. And I won't be surprised if, you know, we see an upset here. I think Devin Haney will be the favorite, probably be the bookies' favorite as well. But something tells me George Kambosos might have his number stylistically. And then obviously George Kambosos got everything going in his favor. George Kambosos is fighting in Australia. That may play a big difference. That might play a big difference, or that might play a big part in, you know, Kambosos winning this fight. Because you've got to realize if he's fighting in his backyard and the rounds are close with the crowd on his side as well, you know, there's a very good chance Kambosos could nick a point. I don't see Devin Haney schooling George Kambosos. I can't see it. I can't see it. See, Linares is a different fighter. Linares, for me, like, he's fast of hands, but Linares doesn't throw as many punches. George Kambosos is a guy that throws a lot of punches. He's not inactive like Linares. Linares is, firstly, he was older, and also Linares likes to pick his shots. Kambosos is a lot more aggressive, in my opinion, and he throws a lot more punches. Whereas Linares, he's got fast hands, but he picks his shots more. And that allows Haney to probably use his slick style. Well, Kambosos is going to be far more aggressive, and I think his activity is going to be much higher. Hence why he's going to be catching Haney. And like I said, Haney doesn't throw a lot of punches. You know, Haney's not a guy that throws. He's fast and he's sharp, but he's not a guy that's very active, in my opinion. I personally feel that Kambosos could outwork him here. I do. I think stylistically, I think Kambosos could outwork him. But if Haney does, I can't see Haney schooling Kambosos. I just can't see it being a non-competitive fight. I think Kambosos will be very competitive, and that's why I think it will be close. But I think I won't be surprised if Kambosos wins a split decision. Haney, look, Haney might have to knock him out to win. Haney might have to knock, George Kambosos. Look, I don't think you can go into a fight thinking I might have to knock this guy out to win, because I don't think that's the right way to think. I think you just have to box your fight, and if knockout comes, you take it. You don't go in there looking to force things, because like as we saw with Tio, Kambosos can punch, and that's another thing that I actually think that might. We know Haney's not a puncher at all, right? We know Kambosos can punch because Kambosos proved it against Teofimo Lopez. You know, he cracked him, and Kambosos for me is fast. But it's not just the speed, it's the pop that he has with those punches. I actually think Kambosos is going to be a serious problem for Haney stylistically. I might be wrong, but I just think styles make fights, and stylistically Kambosos looks like he may have Devin Haney's number. But again, I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think it's a quality fight. I think it's a top fight. I really think this could go either way. But I think the fact that George Kambosos is fighting in Australia. And this is the thing. I think a lot of people just think that Haney's going to school Kambosos. I don't think it's that wide a fight. I don't think the gap between these two is that wide where Haney's just going to school him. Do you see where I'm coming from? I think this fight's far more competitive than what people think. Hence why I think it's going to be a dangerous fight, because I think this fight is a lot more competitive than what people think it is. That's just my opinion. But we'll have to wait and see. I think time will, only time will tell. Time will tell us, whether I'm right or wrong. But yeah, I am looking forward to this. I think it's a crackerjack of a fight. May the best man win. I like both guys. I think both guys are putting it on the line. Both guys are risking their, legacies here. Look, legacies on the line here, because whoever wins this, puts themselves in a great position to really claim that they're best lightweight in the world. Not just that, but in terms of legacy, if George Kambosos wins this after beating Teofimo Lopez, you got to start looking at this guy as maybe he's something special. Maybe he's one of the best fighters ever to come out of Australia. I know there's Costa Zoo and stuff, but like if he goes on to become an undisputed champion, and then you have guys like Tio and Haney on your record, that's already that resume. And then Lee Selby as well. That resume is starting to look really good. Imagine beating Lee Selby, Teofimo, and Devin Haney. You're starting to develop a resume of a great, in my opinion. The start of a resume of a great. Because these were fights that he was expected to lose. He was expected to lose to Lee Selby. He was expected to lose to Teofimo. He's expected to lose against Devin Haney. So you could be looking at a potential great here. Look, I'm not saying I think Kambosos is a great, but if he beats Devin Haney, you have to say that you're probably looking at somebody with a resume that is starting off someone that might go on to become a great. So, we just have to wait and see. But leave your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.